Hello humans, Master DinnerFlax here, and today I'm going to be going over how I deck build and why I deck build the way I do. There's a replay in the background, of course, but before we get into that, one thing I want to say is the 100th video was a colossal failure. It was actually so bad that I still have it up, but I'm just like, I unlisted it. I'll probably put it back up, but it wasn't just like bad for a 100th video. It was like bad, and not even my channel level bad. It was probably the worst video I've ever made. And I literally have a video on this channel where another YouTube video is playing in the background. It was that bad. So I'm probably gonna do a 100th special again, and this time make it good. But we'll see. Second, the deck request I'm still going to be doing, but do keep in mind I do not do every deck request. If it's something that I know I can't expand upon, or something that I'm just very tired and it's very common to find, then I won't do. So like I had to tell someone, hey, I'm not going to do Ancient Gears. There's not a lot you can do with that deck. Or I shouldn't say not a lot you can do, just not a lot you can expand upon. And, yeah. So that's about that. Now, here we go. I'm going to explain why I deck build the way I do. So, for starters, deck building is a necessity in this game. It's actually a pivotal point in the game. You start from the bottom and then learn your way up. And honestly, there's a lot of steps you need to take before you're above. If you just start taking... If you enter full force competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! At the beginning, you're actually going to have a lot of trouble deck building later on in open-ended formats like this, which is why a lot of players say they hate open-ended formats, because there's nothing they can really just like have someone do for them already. But deck building is an important skill, and it's one that a lot of people just take for granted how just pivotal it is. It's the most important step you can take. Well, one of the most important steps you can take in the game. Half the game is decided if you'll win before the game even starts. That's how important deck building is. Now, on that same merit, you can have a lot of skilled deck building, but be very submissive on building decks. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. So, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, they don't want to see their deck change and adjust. They just want to see it as it is, and they want to play this thing they crafted perfectly forever. And you don't make decks. You don't make good decks or incredible, like, spectacle decks like Chaos Blade. I didn't make that in one day and called it a day forever. No, that took a lot of work, and it changed so much over the years. And Chaos Blade, it's not a competitive deck, but it's exciting to see it work. And the reason that is you have to learn to accept your deck will never be good forever. And no matter how much you like a card, if it's bad, you just shouldn't play it. I say that while I have a Priestess on field. But if you want a deck profile of this, let me know. It's Malefic Blue Eyes. So they don't want to see their deck adjust. And a perfect example of that is Blue Eyes. They're so okay with their deck being bad because they don't want to edit the deck in any way that could change it to what they don't like. And that's just really, that's ignorance. That's actual insanity. You would rather play a deck of cards you like Chaos Max, and like all these cards, because you don't want to see it change. You don't want to see it improve. You want to see it your deck, but you got to remember to adjust. And here's how I think you should approach it. Every deck you have, you should never judge a deck by its good hands. You should always judge your deck by its mediocre and bad hands. Because if your bad hands are past turn, then you do not have a good deck. It doesn't matter how good its amazing hands are. If your bad hands and mediocre hands are borderline unplayable, then it's not that good. And that's just fact. You can't survive tournaments with a deck that only is win more. You can't do it. So what I do is I take someone's deck, I play it, and I only play the worst hands possible. I see what it does when it has the least amount of things, and whatever it is, if it does very well with bad hands, then there's nothing to expand upon. Or if there's nothing I can do to fix bad hands, like Agent Gear, there's nothing to expand upon. But if I see flaws in the deck, I'm not just going to say, oh, these are the deck's flaws. I'm going to find ways to fix them. So what you do is you need to focus on editing your deck. Your deck will always have weaknesses, but you should build upon walling and band-aiding up those fixes, and issues. Like, although a band-aid never solves the problem, it'll do a damn good job of covering it up. Even if you can play a hand where you don't lose, like you bricked, but you didn't lose, in comparison to brick and you lost instantly, then it's fine. That's the thing. You gotta build your deck from the weaknesses after you build the deck from its strengths. And if you can't do that, then you're not deck building very well. So, one of the things I really disagree with in Farfa's just whole kind of community and mentality is they're not a fan of 2-ofs and 1-ofs. Even if they're engine cards you can get to by any means you want. So, the problem is, if your deck can't afford the Twin Twister, like, I'm not even going to justify 3 Twin Twisters, because that's way too much for the game right now. But if your deck can't play the cost of Twin Twister, sure it sucks oh my god. Opening multiple Twin Twisters sucks, but sometimes that's a justification to play 2, but as of right now, it's not. But engine cards should never... Engine cards you can play as whatever copies you want to. You shouldn't feel harassed to play 3 of the best card if you open another one of the best card and makes your hand unplayable. You should never have to justify making your deck better just because it doesn't make that much sense. Decks sometimes won't make sense on paper, and that's just fine. But when you're playing and it's kicking ass and it's constantly winning, it's winning consistently, including with side, if it's doing everything right, then you don't have to worry about, oh, you don't have 3 blah 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 of this card that doesn't belong as a 3 of, then that's fine. You shouldn't have to justify it. Your success with the deck should just tell you if it's working or not. And if it's not working, then you fix it. If it is, then you don't need to fix it until something comes up where you might need to fix this issue. So that's another thing. Also, another thing I want to mention is a lot of people like to take a deck and call it as is. Back in the day, they were called net deckers. I'm fine with net decking, like absolutely fine, but I'm not fine with accepting the net deck you took as the best deck, because if you take a deck from an event, and even if it took first place, that deck is already outdated, because people are going to build their deck around that, and they're going to edit their deck in order to play against yours. And they're going to side against yours. And that deck, if it took it, then that means, well, shit, that just means you're playing an outdated deck that doesn't have an answer for their answers. So what do? You literally took an outdated deck. And that's one of the things I've never really done, is if you take a net deck, you better be damn sure that it doesn't stay the same deck after testing, because people are gonna, especially if it won an event and it dominated an event, you can expect a lot of people to be playing around it. And that's how Spiral's adapted. Everything has to adapt. Your deck can't stay stagnant. It will never see success the same way multiple times in a row, even if it's like 3 or 4 cards changed in both main, side, and extra. That's still adjusting, and you can't be complacent with the deck. I know Yu-Gi-Oh cards are expensive, but to keep up, you need to adjust. You need to evolve. And you should never feel bullied for playing ratios people don't like if they've never tested the deck. Don't worry about Farfa and is like the table 500 toxic coaching. It is toxic coaching for a reason. Like they're not there to help you improve. They're there to make fun of it, and that's one of the things you have to sign up for. And it's like that's a fair point, but you shouldn't take their words so harshly, because they're trying to get you to adjust the deck at the end of the day. Even if you don't agree with everything, at least test the weak ends of your deck. The things they call out, test it, make sure they're as strong as you think they are. And you need to have a thick skin if your deck sucks, because my Chaos Blade, it's never going to top an event. But it's fun, and it's very interesting. It could steal a top 20... It could steal an invite from a regionals at best. But anything could do that, really. But that's how you need to approach it. So the points I want to go, and this is how I deck build. I know this is weird, like things you should do, but it's how I deck build. Your deck should never stay the same. Ever. If your deck has gone a month without any changes, you are probably playing an outdated deck and you're not taking it seriously. 2, don't worry about ratios if it already works. Worry about ratios when they don't work. Don't let people, like, even if they got things harsh to say about your deck, it's okay. As long as the deck works, their words are fucking worthless. It's fine. And then finally, just build your deck from its weaknesses after you know its strengths. Because if you're just playing more, if you're putting win more cards in for your good hands, then your bad hands are only going to get worse. And you should build around your weaknesses. So even if you open the worst hand possible, you don't just instantly lose. Even if that means taking strength against your best plays, it's fine, because you have now said, my winning hands are going to have tougher times, but my losing hands are not going to lose anymore. And if you do that, it doesn't matter how much power you took from your good hands, you will have a much more consistent win rate, because all you have to do is just be better than your opponent. And that can take time. And sometimes, like me, I don't have good technical play anymore. And I haven't had it for a long time. So it's like, it's fine. Just try to get better at the game. And that's about it. Thank you all for watching. If you actually sat through this, hopefully you enjoyed and you actually took what I said to heart. You can't be complacent with how your deck is, no matter what. This is, hold on. This is Malefic Blue Eyes. And the reason I even built this deck with the shitty Priestess is because this deck is like, oh, the purpose of the deck is to put 2 level 8s on board. Yeah, it is. The problem with Blue Eyes is they don't do it. They do it like once in a blue moon. It's actually unbelievably sad. And what? Your alternative dragon can't... It can't get you there. It can only get you one body. Okay, so you need another. And that's what the Priestess and the Malefic are for. So, that if you like seen the combo, I was going off. And I've only lost one game with this deck. And it wasn't because of bricking. It was because it was a long, drawn out match with Burning Abyss. And I want to say, never be proud of your deck. Because if you view every deck you have as shit, then they will become a lot better. Because you don't have this pride building around them. You can always improve on the issues without sinking into your skin. You just need to have thick skin for it. You need to accept that your deck will always have flaws, but if you can build around it, and you can build a way to play through it, then you are going to see success in this game with any fucking thing you want to try. So yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching this very like drawn out video. And I'm going to take your soul because I gave you another one.